How Africans proposed before rings existed, before diamonds, before gold rings, before getting down on one knee. Africans were proposing marriage in ways that will blow your mind. Welcome back to Tales by Aya Ijesha. Today, we are going back in time, way back, to discover how your ancestors asked the biggest question of their lives. And trust me, some of these traditions are more romantic than anything you see in movies today. Let's begin. The Kola nut proposal. In many parts of West Africa, especially Nigeria and Ghana, a man did not just walk up to a woman and say, "Will you marry me?" No. He had to bring kola nuts. But not just any kola nuts. He had to bring them to her family. Here's how it worked. The man would visit the woman's family home. He would bring kola nuts wrapped in special cloth. The family would gather. And then, the oldest person in the family would break the kola nut. If the kola nut broke into many pieces, it was a good sign. It meant the ancestors approved of this marriage. But wait, there is more. The woman did not have to say yes right away. Her family would keep the kola nuts. They would discuss. They would pray. They would ask the ancestors for guidance. Sometimes this took days, sometimes weeks. Imagine waiting that long for an answer. The palm wine journey. In Igbo land, which is in eastern Nigeria, a man had to prove he was serious. And how did he prove it? Palm wine. The man would travel to the woman's village. Sometimes he walked for miles. He would carry a big container of fresh palm wine, not from a store. He had to tap it himself from a palm tree. This showed the family three things. 1, he was hardworking. 2, he was patient. 3, he could provide for their daughter. When he arrived, the whole family would gather. They would drink the palm wine together, and if they liked him, they would ask him to come back, again and again, sometimes 4 or 5 times. Each visit, he brought more palm wine. Each visit, the family tested him. They asked him questions. They watched how he behaved. Only after all these visits would they give their blessing. The beaded message. This one is beautiful. In the Yoruba tradition, beads were not just jewelry, they were a language. A young man who wanted to marry a woman would send her beads, but not just any beads, specific colors, specific patterns. Each one had a meaning. Red beads meant, "My heart burns for you." White beads meant, "My intentions are pure." Blue beads meant, "I will be faithful like the sky." The woman would receive these beads, and she understood the message. No words needed. If she wore the beads in public, it meant she accepted. If she sent them back, well, you know what that meant. The farming test. This one was tough. In many African cultures, a man could not just say he would be a good husband. He had to prove it with his hands. The woman's family would give him a piece of land, and they would say, "Farm it." The young man had to clear the land, plant crops, water them, and wait for the harvest. This could take months, but here is why it was important. The family wanted to see, can this man feed our daughter? Can he work hard? Does he give up easily? If his crops grew well, the marriage was approved. If the crops failed, he had to try again next season, or find another woman. The dowry dance now. You may have heard of dowry. In many African cultures, the man's family brought gifts to the woman's family. But it was not just about the gifts, it was a whole celebration. In many cultures, the man had to dance. Yes, dance. in front of everyone. This showed he was not too proud. It showed he was joyful. It showed he was ready to celebrate his bride. The families would sing, they would clap, and the man would dance his way to his future wife. Sometimes the women would test him. They would bring out the wrong woman, covered in a veil, and he had to recognize his true love. If he picked the wrong one, everyone laughed, and he had to try again. The water carrier. In some East African cultures, the proposal was simple but powerful. A man would go to the river early in the morning. He would fetch water and carry it all the way to the woman's home. He did this every day for weeks, sometimes for months. He did not ask for anything. He did not say, "Marry me." He just brought water every single day. This showed the woman and her family, this man is consistent. This man shows up. This man will take care of our daughter. When the family was convinced, they would finally invite him inside. And that is when the real conversations began. So there you have it. 6 ways Africans proposed before rings ever existed. Kola nuts that needed ancestral approval. Palm wine carried for miles. Beads that spoke louder than words. Farms that proved a man's worth. Dances that showed joy and humility. And water carried with patience and love. No diamonds, no fancy restaurants, no flash mobs. Just pure, intentional love. Now here is my question for you. Which proposal tradition was your favorite? Drop it in the comments below. And tell me, do you wish we still did things this way? If you learned something new today, smash that like button. Subscribe to Tales by Aya Ijesha and share this video with someone who needs to see it. Until next time, stay curious, stay proud, and never forget where you come from. Peace.